Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm excited to introduce you to Entity. Synthesizers can produce a really wide range of sounds or timbres. They can have dozens or hundreds of parameters which can be programmed to make unlimited sounds. But in practice, once a sound or patch is crafted, the performer usually sticks with that basic sound and maybe modulates the sound by turning the knob. What that means is that as soon as the audience hears a note for the first time, they have a really good idea of what it's going to sound like for the rest of the piece, and the only thing in question are the notes or pitches played back themselves. Entity is an instrument which puts changes to the sound itself, not just the notes being played, front and center. It uses a common light grid hardware device to create a very responsive, playable interface to a synthesizer's parameters. This enables complex, instantaneous changes to the sound in real time, as easily as playing chords on a piano. On the grid, the nucleus of sound design options, waveforms, octave transposition, and sync controls fit comfortably under the right hand, leaving the left hand to play pitch input on a separate keyboard. Outside this nucleus, but always within reach, are the less foundational controls. In addition to these mappings, there's a customizable modulation matrix which allows presses of the different controls to get another layer of influence on the sound. In seconds, you can easily play and record complex sound changes that would take minutes or hours to program. One benefit of using a button grid for sound changes instead of knobs is that it becomes really easy to make rhythmic patterns over chord progressions, similar to strumming a guitar. That's one synthesizer pretending it's an entire trance beat. You can also see how, because the simple pattern is being played live, it's easier to riff, elaborate, and develop the groove. But let's try a loop that's a little more interesting by playing chords of sound changes, multiple presses on the grid at the same time. Sustained notes or chords can morph instantaneously, becoming higher, lower, and more gritty all at the same time. Both these examples used Entity's touch-responsive button mode, where the value returns as soon as you lift your finger, just like an acoustic instrument. But you can also update those return values on the fly, using either of the update buttons on the grid or with an attached pedal. Such sleight of hand allows for developing transformations over time without the audience hearing a single abrupt change. That's just one of the many performance-oriented features built into Entity. Now here's a more freeform jam which pushes the instrument into much weirder places. The combination of changing pitch or harmony with changing sound is a kind of primal magic in music making, and that's what really excites me about Entity. Being able to do that spontaneously without presets, quantization, or pre-programmed sequences changes the way I think about a synthesizer as an instrument. I feel like Entity is mature enough to make a really awesome performance, but I'm still just learning how to link together everything that it can do. There's still no substitute for practice and muscle memory in musical performance. Because at its core, Entity is really just a deeply developed bridge between existing hardware and a software synthesizer, its design principles could be applied to other synthesizers as well, and perhaps even Ableton Live. That would go a very long way toward making nimble, radical, and most importantly, expressive sonic changes a reality in live performance.